And here we are at the end of Doom Eternal.
Is that a white Praetor suit?
So this is the 20th anniversary skin. This was acquired by getting 13,000 Slayer points from the Slayers Club.
Oh my gosh.
At minimum, that takes months. I actually ended up getting over 26,000 points in the hopes that it might get me something eventually. No, there was no point in getting more than 13,000.
But conflict was born in hell. It is inevitable.
Not only that, but the Slayers Club has been redesigned, and I think that they have removed that functionality, so I'm not even sure if there's a way to get the anniversary skin anymore. But, me using it here at the end, this is my reward for going through all of that and getting the all those points and everything. I can now use it here. All right, so the final boss, I kind of tried to make it into fighting another Slayer, one that can get health from hitting enemies and sort of moving around and sidestepping and whatnot. Has his own shoulder cannons.
Yeah, it's cool, but for reasons I'll bring up later, it lacks one thing I would have preferred.
So yeah, when I first played this boss, I did what the video did and used the mobile turret mod. Nah, Ballista Super Shotgun is the best combo for dishing out the damage during the stun window.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did not enjoy this fight. It was probably the most tedious in the game.
It's certainly not the most favorite boss that it has created. It's both. I don't know. I get what they were going for, but I'm not sure it quite landed.
Now he can't gain back his like health pips at the top, right? Like once those are gone, those are gone. Okay.
Those are phases. He can just get back health within the phase, like there.
That.
So a lot of it's just hanging out, waiting for that green flash, just like with a Marauder.
Because honestly, I wasn't entirely sure what triggered him getting health back at first. Like I knew his
him
sword
hitting
for
you with
sure,
the sword.
But I thought even the shield bash seems to give him some health back.
Maybe it does.
But I could just be terrible at the game. There's that.
But yeah, with the Slayers Club, I actually stuck with it for so long and so consistently that I was within the top 100 people on the site in terms of Slayer points. So yeah, it was a thing, but at some point I fell off of it. They redesigned the site, and yeah, I'm not sure if there's any way to get the anniversary skin.
Oh, yep, right there. You get health. He gets health.
All right, so yeah, you'd just have to stay vigilant. One thing that can help is that using the hammer does immediately kill all of the ghost enemies, including the dogs.
Yeah.
So while it can be a little bit, can hurt to be like, oh, using up my hammer, I need that for him. It can really give you some breathing room.
Yeah, I want to say I maybe died 3 times at most, but it definitely got to a point of I couldn't kill him, he couldn't kill me situation most of the time.
Were you using the hammer to extend the stun duration?
I had to.
All right.
Because without it, I could barely, like, sure I was on easy, but my ability to quick change like that is not as good as yours, so the rate of, like, damage to him was a little bit less. I do want to point out we're on Earth right now.
Yep.
So
I'm not entirely sure if he's... It could just be like a... No, wait, we are actually teleporting around because we end in a different location. We are definitely there.
Yeah.
At least I think.
I guess the Dark Lord just can do that.
He is the Dark Lord.
Oh.
That was one of the only true mistakes that I make in this fight, I think. But yeah, each of those dogs gives you half a charge of the hammer, so that can definitely help.
Oh, yeah. In fact, if there's 2 dogs out and you use the hammer, you just get another hammer back, which is nice.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you are
So
getting
close.
clockwork on that one.
Yep. So two dogs. It's a free hammer right there.
2 dogs, 1 hammer. Oh, gosh.
Oh jeez. Oh no.
That's terrible for many reasons. Poor dogs.
Yeah, that shield is difficult to avoid.
I think the biggest problem for me is not understanding the aggro range to get that flash to happen more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For too long have I been imprisoned by my own creations. You will not stop my vengeance, nor the one who betrayed me. Tell him.
He is the first being, and my creator. When he fell, I ascended.
What?
They lied to you, Slayer. Imora and its people would have been perfect, if not for the treachery of my servants. They sealed me away, stole my power and name. And now, the time has come for a reckoning.
Wait, so... What?
These were made by my hand. So shall they be unmade, starting with you.
All right. So he was the original being. He was the father before our current pretender father in the form of Vega.
Yeah, but then who is the like, who is Vega then? Like, what?
So I believe that he was someone that he was something that the makers created to stand in for him. So, anyways, this twist is bad because it causes problems with previously consistent material and
Right.
doesn't resolve them.
It reminds me of, there's another thing where things just break down when you find a big twist at the end. Back when Disney made good live-action movies, there was a movie called The Lone Ranger. And there's a twist in that movie that you're like, wait, no, that's impossible. Like, you've shown that it wasn't a lie. What are you talking about? This makes no sense. So, yeah, I see what you mean with, like, you can't do this twist after what you set up.
Yeah, good twists are supposed to make everything fall into place. They're supposed to be things that didn't quite add up before, that seemed strange, if a little, innocuous. It's like, oh, that has an explanation, seems a little weird, but eventually you're like, oh, see Danganronpa 2 for more on that. But, yeah, I think there's an impression that, oh, it's a twist because you never saw it coming. That's what makes it good. No, what makes it
That's what M. Night Shyamalan thinks.
Bad twists make you confused. Good twists make everything make sense, finally.
Yeah. Because, like, okay, this means that if the lore is consistent, that means that in the Divinity Machine, a piece of the Dark Lord is in the Slayer, but the Dark Lord is, like, the main deity, so that means, I don't know, like, is Doomguy, like, technically part god? Like, how does this work?
So that's the thing. I think that some of the codexes of Tag 2 were trying to preemptively resolve some of these issues. I don't know when they decided that the Dark Lord was going to be, you know, all of the details of the Dark Lord. Because it feels like even in the base campaign, they didn't quite have all of that worked out. What with that mysterious voice that went no when the Con Maker died.
Right.
But also post-release interviews have said that Marty Stratton has said that the Dark Lord had no hand in the creation of Doomguy, which seemingly contradicts what this game showed or implied.
It implies that the Dark Lord in the lore in the game says that, like, the Con Maker, like, basically created the very thing she sought to destroy, which was Doomslayer. Like, the Dark Lord's supposed to be like Palpatine here, playing both sides of the fence, or both sides of the chessboard. But to say that he had no hand in it makes no sense. I don't know.
I mean, well, it's just the fact that they look exactly the same.
Yeah. Like,
and like you would think that since obviously the Dark Lord is older, that he would have had a hand in creating Doomguy, but apparently not. But they're like also from different universe. Well, Doomguy's not in his originally. It's a whole big mess, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to repair it, because as much time that they put into the lore, it's clear that they aren't that invested in it, paradoxically, because of New Doom's reputation of the lore is there, but it doesn't matter, and a lot of people seemingly get kind of mad when you do care.
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's not for the lore. You're just killing demons, and I'm like, but it's there, and I find it kind of cool, and I would like it if my investment in it was rewarded.
Yeah, it's like, why put all this work into something that didn't matter to anybody?
If you're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
And
now,
I feel like also with the Dark Ages being a prequel, I'm not sure if any of these questions are actually going to be resolved.
We'll see. I am curious what your thoughts are on my thought about this. Is the messy handling of this lore almost feels like a contrapositive to Bayonetta 3, because both things, it's like you tried so hard to make it all confusing. But unlike, you know, it's not the same, because Doom Eternal is still a good game, whereas Bayonetta 3 is, I don't know, is its gameplay any good?
Oh, the gameplay, well, a lot of people will say, oh, but the gameplay was just as good as any of the previous games. That part was absolutely fine. No, there were a lot of problems with Bayo 3's
That was
gameplay.
nice.
Had to use the Unmaker at some point.
So, here's where my disappointment comes.
Real quick, in the original take of that, Doomguy would always do the take-off helmet animation, even when using a skin that didn't have a helmet. So he would mime taking it off, and then it would suddenly appear in his hands.
That's funny.
They eventually changed it so that if he was wearing a helmetless costume, he just wouldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, have you nothing to say to your creator before you strike him down?
I mean, he didn't say anything before he struck him down.
Yeah?
It was only after. That's a UAC uniform, not an ARC uniform.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say it. I expected one more phase where
that
he's
right
out
there
of the,
creates a lot of problems.
Oh yeah?
Right there. That was in Sentinel Prime, I think. Well,
that means that Sentinel Prime isn't in hell.
That is correct, unless that was also showing something on Terrace Nabat. Actually, I think that is fine. That means that Sentinel Prime wasn't on Argent Dinor. But yeah.
I was the demon all along.
And then John was a demon. And then John was a zombie, I think.
Ah.
So yeah, Doomguy like falls unconscious after killing the Dark Lord, and I'm not sure what this means for humanity, because if he fell asleep because the Dark Lord is dead and the Dark Lord was his creator, well, everything was created by the Dark Lord, so why isn't everything dying?
I'm wondering if it's because he has a piece of the Dark Lord in himself, but he just killed the Dark Lord.
I'm not
I
even
don't know.
sure if it... I don't think that he has it inside him. I think that the piece of the Dark Lord was just used to empower him, but still he
Right.
has some of that in him. So I think that's what it was. But yeah, so Doomguy is in the sanctum in hell, technically. And at this point, we're not sure if we'll ever see anything that happens after this.
Yeah. After Dark Ages, I would love them to circle back, maybe see if they can fix some problems. Robert A. Altman. So here's my disappointment in that fight. I was hoping he'd get out of his big suit and, I don't know, not like a fist fight, like just some kind of final phase that's just, you know, Doomguy against Doomguy moment, but it was basically done.
In action games, you do not fear the enemy that is 100 times bigger than you. You fear the one that is the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been kind of cool, I guess. I guess they thought that having a human-sized enemy like that as a boss would have given them too small of a hitbox.
Maybe. I will say, I am biased because I'm thinking of the ending of Gurren Lagann, where it just turns into a fist fight at the end, which is ridiculous.
Which also happened in Persona 5 Royal.
Oh, nice. Oh, but yeah, you know, it took me a long time to warm up to this game after 2016, but I do think it is the Metroid Prime 2 to Doom 2016's Metroid Prime. Like, it definitely steps it up in a way that I eventually really liked.
I think that's a good comparison, going from Prime 1 to Prime 2. Initially, I was a little off-put by Eternal's vibe and like its feel and all of that. Eventually, I became less put off by it, even though I still prefer the way that 2016 looks and feels. Its gameplay is some of the finest I think I've ever experienced. I absolutely love it, and yet I do not disagree at all with them taking the Dark Ages in a different direction, because I think that they kind of accomplished all that they set out to do, both with this game and with the previous one.
Yeah, when you've built, like, they kind of really refined what they were doing in 2016. I don't know where else they could go without it feeling a little too repetitive at this point.
They, as they put it, they were trying to create the idea of being an F-35 flying around the battlefield, dispensing ultimate destruction to everything below you.
That's about right.
With the Dark Ages, they're going more with being an Abrams tank, an absolute unit on the field that that you just plow through everything so long as you don't bumble into all of the bad things. So,
Boom music.
very much looking forward to the Dark Ages and what this team can do with a different focus.
It's interesting that the Dark Lord and Doomguy have different voice actors.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I just quick scanned it just here.
But yeah, and I hope that their lore team can try and figure out what went right and what went wrong with some of the things that they've been writing to try to make all of this feel more cohesive and more like, and for the people who do want to follow it, like that investment is rewarded. Because I didn't always feel that way in Eternal.
Nah. This is a cool font.
It is nice. I wouldn't want too much written with it, but as a stylized font for big text in the game, it's got its own style.
Yeah, anytime an O turns into a square, it's kind of cool, but like, it's funny that that's still legible, even though it's a diagonal. But yeah, in the end, at the end of the day, what's your favorite weapon?
I mean, it's got to be the super shotgun. It's got the traversal. It's very, very powerful, very versatile. It was the most iconic weapon in classic Doom for a good reason, and they did it justice in this one.
I'd say that... Actually, first, what's your least favorite one?
Least favorite, I mean, that would be the Unmaker, but in terms of the standard kit, I guess that would be the plasma rifle. I don't feel as though I shift to it as much.
Yeah.
Even like the heavy rifle, its precision bolt has a lot of utility.
Yeah.
And the mods for the plasma rifle I don't feel get as much use.
For me, I'd say I liked, for a while, it was the plasma rifle's microwave beam. I loved that thing to death. But that was me just screwing around. When I actually had to put face to pavement, it is funny how, in the end, I probably used the... what did I use the most? I probably used the sticky grenades, or sticky shotgun, like, the most. I'm kind of shocked how little I used the rocket launcher in hindsight. I often forgot I even had it most of the time. For some reason, something about it, just, I did not think to go to it, but I wanted to get good with the ballista, but it never felt good to me, and I don't know what it is, but it felt vague compared to the Gauss rifle or Gauss cannon, which felt ultra precise. But I do know they nerfed the... I mean, that's kind of... The precision bolt was able to fill that hole a little bit, because I never used it in 2016. I don't know if he even unlocked it, now that I think about it. I just...
Yeah, I mean, that was more of just a zoom in and bullets get a little bit more powerful, whereas the precision bolt is take down a weak point, deal with this problem now.
Because oftentimes I would practice with the precision bolt with mobs like I would with the carbine in Halo, like just going to town.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the ballista, they wanted to turn the Gauss cannon into an ultra powerful, precise weapon into something that is a little bit more suited for aerial enemies.
Yeah, had I known that from the start, I would have probably learned to like it a lot more. I will say the wide beam, though, that thing is still sick. That is amazing. Like,
it's so amazing that they implemented it into Classic Doom with the new Legacy of Rust expansion.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called the Calamity Blade, but it works incredibly similar to the Destroyer Blade mod.
Considering Doom is a, there's only actually 2 axes, even though there's an illusion of a third, I would imagine a blade like that would actually be super duper broken, since it's kind of hard to miss when you can't actually aim up or down.
There's a little bit more to that. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, Doom didn't actually have a third axis. That's not strictly true. There was up and down in that engine. It just had to get creative as to how it would express that. People who say that it was as 2D as Super Mario World don't know what they're talking about.
I mean,
that
more
said,
I thought the hit scan worked still, like, in 2D.
It has auto aim. And yes, enemies in the original game were infinitely tall. It's not easy to say whether Classic Doom was definitely 2D or 3D, hence why at the time the definition of 2.5D was games like Doom and Duke Nukem, because it was a thing of like, we're not quite to true 3D yet, but we're getting really close. In my personal opinion, I would say that Doom was 3D, just in a very different and much more restricted context than what we have these days.
It kind of reminds me of the insane person who's currently making Mario 64 for the GBA. Something I can't even believe works. Yeah, it's like, I'm watching
I've seen
this,
some of that. It's crazy.
I'm just like, what? Like, because as a kid, the idea of a 3D game, like, you'd have like Mario Kart Super, or whatever the Mario Kart game was on that, you know, faked it with the Mode 7, ironically similar to how Doom does. And, yeah, like, I struggle to think of any actual 3D games. Because, you know, you have, like, the, oh, what was it? I think it was Iridian 3D.
I mean, Doom was on the GBA.
I'm not surprised at that. That's kind of fun.
And I think someone recently did another attempt at Doom on the GBA, and it runs a lot better than the original version.
That many years of hindsight lends itself to increased.
And it's a lot closer to the DOS original than you know, pretty much every other console port of Doom was based on the Jaguar port, which was done by id. So.
For some reason, I'm thinking of the fact that Banjo-Kazooie was recently hit decomp, which is great. And with a game like Doom, I would imagine that decomp isn't even a factor, since it was never, you know, its original. Actually, what was Doom originally for? PC?
It was originally made for DOS, but they released the source code a couple of years after release, so the decomp is completely meaningless because we have the source code.
Right, we don't have to reverse engineer the source code.
They just gave it to us.
Isn't that
That's
nice?
how we have all of these source ports. Is they took the source code and adapted it into modern programming contexts.
I'll have to send you footage of a volumetric display that somebody's running Doom on. It's not.
You did send me that one. I did see it. It's
I don't know
crazy.
what version of Doom that is, but it's pretty neat.
Hello?
Oh!
Great. I have a message for you from Marty, Hugo, and all the hardworking devs at id Software. Thanks for playing. Hell wouldn't be the same without you.
Oh, good. We did
All
get
right,
to hear
so
from him.
that's it for Doom Eternal. We will see you on our next project.